Gentlemen, this is the National Intel Report. I'm your host, John Statmiller, here with you live on a Tuesday, 17 November 09, folks. I'll be bringing Mr. Robert Chapman and Mr. Robbie Noel up here in just a minute. I am looking at the TARP spending, and it is simply amazing to me. There is a website, if you want to go check this out for yourself, stimuluswatch.org. Some enterprising individuals have gone out there and put together what this bailout and what they're doing with the money. Now, interestingly enough, D.V. Kidd just wrote an article, and she said that how interesting that finally, at least one financial expert on Fox News Network put it out there last week, suspend the income tax. Said these are desperate times, a call for desperate measures. D.V. could have been knocked over with a feather. Well, I said that weeks and weeks ago. You know, you want a stimulus? Leave the money in our pocket. Let us decide where we need to spend it to take care of our financial obligations. Now, it gets really, really interesting. It gets rather silly. So there are terms that have been created. I think the bureaucrats did it themselves. Pork barrel spending. You know, your guy in Washington brings home the bacon, I guess, to your district. Well, this is over the top. And I'm going to read some of these things. Now, I'm sure this made some people happy. I'll give you one example here. There's a bridge, and I'm sure in Iowa County, Wisconsin. I don't even know if there's anybody who listens to the network up there. And if they do, if you're one of those 10 people that you received up there $430,000 to repair a bridge in your county that carries a maximum of 10 cars a day. John Murtha, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Well, what did they get? They got $800,000 to build a backup runway. Now, I'm assuming that there's an active runway there right now, but they're building a backup runway for $800,000 that carries 20 passengers a day. Things are really stimulating, aren't they, folks? You feeling the green shoots? Well, something's shooting, and I can't tell you what part of my body it's coming out of, but it's shooting. We'll take our best shot with the financial news, what's going on in the New World Order, and sundry other subjects right after this break. During the break, I was watching the Continental Congress down there outside of Chicago. And, folks, if you go to republicbroadcasting.org, we have a link up there that you can watch the proceedings. And I've never seen Michael Badnarik in finer form, I must say. At any rate, Mr. Robert Chapman.
Yes.
How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
And Mr. Noel?
I'll be here.
You be here? By the way, I think I found out, Bob Chapman, why Robbie wants to go to Zimbabwe. They found diamonds over there. More than Rhodesia, evidently. or other countries. I shouldn't say Rhodesia, because Zimbabwe is Rhodesia.
Well, I would go for a visit and look first, because it's not the place you left.
Well, and if there's something over there worth any value, which I don't know what they have over there, but if it's in the ground and it's worth having, somebody's going to get it. And I don't want to be in their way when they go after it.
Well, they have no debt anymore.
Why? Are they completely bankrupt? Wrote everything off, did they? Yeah.
That's where we're heading.
Well, hey. Yeah, but it's a
Got an
lot.
article on my website
But it's a lot.
that says exactly the same thing. Why doesn't the U.S. just declare bankruptcy and get it over with?
Well, they did. This is hello. This is March 9th, 1933. Bob, you're fully aware of this. Congress assembled. They've been made trustees of the bankruptcy. We have been in that bankruptcy since 1933. This is what they use to flip the form of government. The Administrative Procedures Act of 1946, directly after World War II, they decided that they were going to make everything corporate. Everything is now in the maritime or admiralty, or some people call them the contract courts. But this is how they have flipped the government. This is how everything is flown under the radar and put in the commerce clauses and everything else. Everybody wants to know where all the rules and regulations and all these agencies and everything came from. Administrative Procedures Act. Hello, people out there. You know, I don't know if people really want to know what's gone wrong with this country and why, because you got to know what went wrong in order to rectify it, to make it whole again or right. You know, folks, we're not over here just to give us something to do here.
Declare bankruptcy and rename Fort Knox.
Well, we've already had the bankruptcy. We're still in it, so I don't think there's a... Is there a double clutch gotcha again Chapter 7 or something that I'm not aware of?
Rename Fort Knox Fort Tungsten.
By the way, Mr. Chapman, I sent that story over to you. Storyline goes, coming from memory here, that the Chinese have put out some gold bars that they have. No. Okay, your memory is better than my memory.
Yes.
Go ahead, my memory hole.
Well, if you remember, and I actually sent Ron Kirby an email, invited him on the show to talk about his revelation. And he said, well, I pretty much said everything I can say at this time. Why don't we schedule it when the next shoe drops? We don't know when the next shoe's going to drop. But what it was is, if you remember back in October, when China announced to the world that it was pulling all its gold reserves out of the London Metals Exchange and transferring it to Hong Kong, was where they discovered tungsten bars, allegedly. All this is allegedly. So everybody started blaming China, because obviously they have a very big tungsten industry in China. And China turned around and said, hey, no, wait a minute. This goes back to the Clinton administration and Robert Rubin and Alan Greenspan and Lawrence Summers. So this story is obviously, in the rarefied air of gold bugs, is very prominent. There's a lot of people that are very skeptical about Ron Kirby's story because he, as many people point out, he said he's got information that details bars that were shipped to Fort Knox that were actually tungsten bars. And people are skeptical about his story because he hasn't shown the evidence of the information that he has. So it's very plausible, without question, when you go back and you retrace all the events that happened under the Clinton administration and the suppression of gold prices instigated by Alan Greenspan, as confirmed by his very statements in the Federal Open Market Committee link on the Fed's website, which they release after 5 years, where he talks about gold being a thermometer of the soundness of the economy. So look, it's a story I live for. I don't know how Bob feels about it.